Now, in order to really get the full picture about what you're watching right here, you ought to go back and watch episodes 19 and 27 of this series. That's where we were installing the drain lines behind the retaining walls and around the house itself. Today, we're simply connecting those lines to the city storm drain system. We'll put a link to those episodes in the description, just in case you want a refresher course before you watch us finish the job here. Thanks for sticking with us in this project, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. It's always fun watching heavy equipment move dirt, and there's a lot of that in store for you today. Every drop of water on site, whether from runoff, out of the rain gutters, or out of the French drain itself, all runs into a storm drain system that services the whole neighborhood. This is a separate system from the sewer drain that collects the water from our sinks and toilets. That system also connects out here in the street, but into the sanitary sewer line, which is buried a lot deeper. Now, stormwater might seem unimportant compared to other city services, but it is every bit as critical. Running water can do a tremendous amount of damage. If water is running down this hill uncontrolled, it's going to erode ditches, undermine houses, it's going to wreak havoc. In fact, the losses and liability attached to water can be so serious that there's an entire body of law devoted to these issues alone. If you've watched our series from the beginning, you're going to know that we started working on this system before the foundation of the house even went in. And we've worked on it several times throughout the build process. Well, today we're finally connecting that system to the city storm drain, which is the final destination for this water. We've got Brian Reynold himself back with us doing the work, and I hope you enjoy watching him again. Dexter and Dewey are helping him do their thing, and while they're here, we're going to have them prep our driveway and sidewalk as well. It uses the same tools, the same material, and the time has come to get those parts of this house completed as well.
And so you take this, you drill a hole, and you slide this rubber piece in, and then there's some lube, and you put it on here, and you slide this piece inside of it, tighten it down,
Wow.
and then you attach your pipe to that.
Now, there are several ways you can do the actual tap of your new stormwater line into the main drain. Brian is using a fitting that's called an insert-a-T, which may just be the quickest and easiest yet. Yes, there are other saddle-type connectors, but as you can see, this one is pretty slick.
He's a nice guy.
Yeah.
See, now the pipe, it's barely inside the culvert,
Yeah.
but the rubber is tight and it's sealed on the inside.
Yeah.
It's a
It's amazing.
nice connection, I think. So we still have 8 inch. And so we get our pipe stubbed out, put some slope on it, and then we'll Go ahead.
Please ignore the two different colors of pipe that you're seeing. Both types are compatible with each other and with the glue that's being used as well.
What was that other one? God.
We are following the same protocols as the other sewer plumbing that you've seen us put in. The right glue, the right slope, no T's installed flat, got to use a Y or a combi instead. The main difference is that this system is not subjected to a pressure test. It is, however, closely inspected. One of these pipes comes from a French drain, the other is collecting the water from the rain gutters. You're watching Brian operate a brand spanking new mini excavator that he bought just in the last month or so. It's a really beautiful little machine, and it tickles me to see him expanding his fleet of tools and equipment. We had an interview with Brian not too long ago and got to hear him explain the path that his career has taken and how he's gotten to the point that he's at. If you're working in the trades and think you might want to be your own boss someday, I highly recommend you give it a listen, and we'll put a link to it in the description to this video. There's a lot to be said for being patient, making career decisions in a prudent and thoughtful manner, just sort of keeping your powder dry. And Brian has done this masterfully. He might be one of the busiest small contractors in our area. And if you want to have him do a job for you, you're going to have to get in line, because there are about 1 million people in front of you begging for his services, and they know they're lucky if they pin him down. Now, you might remember hearing me point out that concrete is really never any better than whatever it's resting on. And this is especially true with city sidewalk, because there's usually no rebar used. in sidewalks that are located in the public right-of-way, so the compaction of the subgrade is critically important. Any movement in the base that's underneath the walk is going to immediately cause cracking. Now we're placing 1 inch minus, that's the designation of this gravel, and we're grading it in order to place a 4-inch thick sidewalk and a 6-inch thick driveway approach. Brian Reynolds is not just an excellent equipment operator, but he's one of the best concrete men around. So when he tells me that he's compacted the subgrade, I can just cross it off my list and never give it a second thought. That feels great. Now this beautiful clean hole we made in the beautiful street to access a storm drain is going to get backfilled with a slurry mix. This is a specific concrete mix design that's used for situations just like this and not for much else. When you fill something with a slurry instead of a gravel or a compacted fill, you've got zero concern about settlement over time because this stuff has a little cement in it, and it's going to harden up until it's one solid chunk. Not as hard as structural concrete, but way, way harder than even good fill dirt or gravel. The second advantage to this stuff is that it can be removed if it needs to be. You can dig a slurry mix out of a hole with an excavator bucket very easily. No jackhammer required. Now, slurry mixes are used often around utility installations, utility repairs like this, and situations where you don't need a full-strength concrete, but you don't want to risk any amount of settling. Any amount of settling over time after you lock these things in place.
What could I build with these hands that you gave me? Lord, with your wisdom, there's nothing I can make. I'll be damned if I waste a day. What could I move with your strength if you let me? Lord, there ain't nothing that I couldn't be. If a mustard seed moves mountains to the sea. When I stand before you at your pearly gate, and Lord, you pull out your trusty measuring tape, and please remember the only prayer for you was let me build a life, square, plumb, true. Your peace that surpasses all understanding. It's like a fountain that flows from within, and it quenches the thirst of every man who sinned. Lord, it's your love that makes the world keep on turning. Lord, your Son is the fire that keeps on burning. It blinds out the darkness, lights the way.
So the real reason that we are starting with the city sidewalk and driveway approach, instead of starting with the driveway and the sidewalks that are adjacent to the house, is that all of the concrete that's poured in the public right-of-way is carefully specified in codes and policies in terms of its location and its slope and the mix design and how thick it is, and every detail pertaining is non-negotiable. If I don't get it right, I'm going to be tearing it out. So once the work that is just behind the curb is in place and finished, I will know exactly what I have to do to tie in the more decorative flat work in the driveway and the sidewalk that will be coming up soon. Brian has two different compactors on this little job. This one is known as a jumping jack, and the other is a plate compactor. Someday I'll make a video and really get into the details about the differences between these two very similar tools, but for now, suffice it to say that each one has an area where it really shines, and it's a luxury when you have both on the same job. Generally speaking, the jumping jack hits a lot harder and compacts the material a lot tighter. Although it is a little harder to control, and it can hurt you, and it leaves a little rougher or bumpier finish, it is a tool that you've just got to have if you're compacting a lot of dirt. Now, both of these different machines are miles better than trying to do anything by hand to compact your fill. Just don't do that. Don't even consider it, ever. And if you don't have a tool like this, you can rent one very easily, and it just might be the single most important step in pouring long-lasting concrete.
This is how the pros do it.
What does it do? I mean, just barrier for something?
It adheres it.
It makes it stick to it and kind of seals it up. I don't know.
Huh.
Helps adhere the asphalt together.
That's cool.
This asphalt is steaming because it's around 300 degrees Fahrenheit and it's a cool day. On top of that, Brian's plate compactor is dripping a little bit of water down just in front of the plate as he runs over it. This keeps the compactor from sticking to the asphalt that it's pounding on and helps achieve a smooth surface. Asphalt is a completely different process and material than concrete is, and as you can see, it takes a lot less effort. Now, just like with dirt or gravel, with asphalt, you want to place it and compact it into thin layers called lifts, and not just dump it in and level it out all at once. Thanks for watching Essential Craftsman, and keep up the good work.